activate that kinesthetic sense and you start feeling this movement of energy within your body and where it's going, right? When you learn and recognize that, which all of us probably have, that sensation and those feelings and that understanding what it is, like, for example, whenever your child does something you don't like, there is anger comes up, right? That's a kinesthetic movement of energy within your body. Or somebody trying to attack you and you feel that rise of energy of protection or fear. This is also the kinesthetic movement of that energy. Or when you're one with the nature, you feel that love, and that love comes as also a force of energy within your body. So anything you experience comes as a kinesthetic sensation. So basically, when we're doing this work in altered states, you are learning to recognize these states of, uh, that kinesthetic movement of your energy, and that will create something that does not have a term in any metaphysical or spiritual, probably if you take yogi culture, they might have it, but I'm not familiar with it. So there is no term for what is created that starts to move outside of you. Some people call it phantom, which I don't like that word. Um, and there's reasons why I don't like that word. A lot of people call it energy body. It's also so unclear because there's so many different aspects of the energy bodies that we have, right?
Hmm.
What Mark did, he called it vehicle.
Okay.
Vehicle basically is something in which you will be moving from your physical body into these other altered states of consciousness. Um, in my book, I created a term for it, which makes total sense to me.
Hmm.
And it has like two pages of description what it is and how it reflected, and that takes obviously a previous explanation of other states of consciousness to understand how it works. So I call it psychroma. Why I call it psychroma? Because this whatever kinesthetic vehicle that's created for someone, it uses your psychic energy. Besides that, it uses your kinesthetic energy, it uses your psychic energy, and there is this thing called assemblage. Uh, I'm gonna just write it down so I don't forget. You often forget this word. Assemblage point. I don't know if any of you read any works of Castaneda. No?
Yes. Years ago.
Right. So again, I only read one book. I know he mentions it there, but I think my explanation of it is a little different. It comes mm, more from Buddhist kind of work. So the assemblage point is basically where's your spiritual awakening process holding in your like an evolution of a soul, and each person will have it in different places. Some people are, and if you look at it as the assemblage points usually are within the chakra systems. You familiar with chakra systems?
Hmm.
So you take all these chakra systems and they all responsible for something that you want to explore in this life. You've seen people that are obsessed with material world and they always concerned what's going to happen tomorrow. uh, Again, we all go through that process. I'm not saying it's bad or good because all these like awakening points of chakras, they take layers and layers to unfold. So basically, let's say if a person is totally obsessed and concerned and has lots of fears that related to survival, their assemblage point is very low. And when they come to do this work, they basically just don't have energy to do it because all of their energy goes towards um, developing everything that has to do with survival, right?
Survival, yeah.
Um, let's say they have, in a dream, they have an out of body, just like random out of body. Basically, it's going to be filled with a lot of fear, uh, because their assemblage point is within that particular area where they still didn't clear all what it has to do with fear, right? And there, what I call psychroma will have all the aspects of those, the fears and everything that their psyche holds with all this unclear information. So let's say again, when you start doing this work, and sometimes because it's the everything that has to do with fear and blockages, they're all located in subconscious mind. So in order to clear that, you will go through the states of experiencing of something unpleasant, and that's normal. You may not. I'm not saying everyone will. I went through that stage in my exploration. I had what's called as a nightmares, like kids experience nightmares, but when I started going out of body in the beginning, I would have a lot of like a nightmare scenarios where I would um, be exposed to some like scary thing or some scary being. And obviously that creates a lot of fear, and lots of people get scared and they don't want to do it again. You've
Yeah.
met lots of people like that. And the whole like Eastern philosophy um, dictates that people should have a teacher or guru. That's why the idea of guru is so popular there, because they want to have someone who will guide them. And if they see that they're not capable of exposing themselves and handling all that stress that will come from that experience, the probably the guru will hold them back from having these experiences,
Yeah.
which I don't think in any way is a developing process for me, because I think in order to push through, you have to, it's a threshold, right? You have to recognize it and work with it. Like,
So when you talk about clearing, and I'm presuming you're clearing the chakras or the subconscious.
clearing the chakras doesn't do anything. It
Okay.
only does something for the moment when you do this. You do
Okay.
feel a force of like energy. Your chakras are in a state of being that your consciousness is in. So if you have a mental belief that something is dangerous,
Hmm.
you are operating from lower chakras.
Okay.
And again, when I say you, I don't mean you, I mean in general.
Yeah. But but so the issue then is to clear out the subconscious, and this is something that I've been um, working on in various and different ways, trying to get past the anxiety, depression, the feeling of just having to survive, because that's what it's one of the things that Bob Monroe talked about, is that, and I went, yeah, that's it right there. Everything is about survival, but well, having a house, putting groceries on the table, having a car, having all these things, not because you're hyper materialistic, but because you need all this stuff just to operate in this world. I mean,
Right.
if you're going to produce anything, if you're going to get anywhere, I guess.
Right. That's absolutely correct. But you're doing that with a sense of fear, because you're not trusting
Yes.
it's coming your way or not.
Yeah.
Because the idea that you're stressed about it and thinking about it and concerned is because there is no trust.
Yes.
But you live in a society that somewhat safe. We can say that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe it's not super comfortable anymore as it used to be, but still, we're pretty safe compared to how we were growing up in Soviet Union. This is pretty safe,
Yes.
right? So when we observe the surrounding and see that actually I don't need to worry that much, like my job is safe, I have a pension, or the house is uh, from projected budget can be paid and expenses can be paid. So the idea, what I'm trying to say is the mindset. People get so caught up in believing that they're living in a lack opposed to living in abundance, that their mindset becomes always like, oh, if I stop controlling the process, the whole thing gonna fall off, because
Yeah.
they're living from the lack.
Yeah. That's me. Or was me.
Well, all of us were there at
Yeah.
some point. Somebody awakens from it sooner, someone later, some never do, you know. So but understanding how it works, and it's really a mental state as opposed to a real representation of your financial situation.
Right. I mean, totally, yeah, totally. And I mean, the whole world is like that. Everything that you look at and see and perceive, and what you think of it, and is it, does it fit into your? Um, I mean, that's the other thing that Monroe talks about is that these ways of thinking, or the what do you call them, mindsets, that when you really step back and look at it, there are a lot of situations in life that you just presume this is the way it is. I mean, you just presume that, these things happen and I have no control over them. But when you start to look at that particular mindset, you go, well, wait a minute, I don't have to accept that or agree with that, or, take that in. That's one thing I can jettison. And I think that gives you that, at least for me, was the part where I started to get this insight that, yeah, I do have a lot of power in terms of deciding what I want or what I don't want in my life, and how I deal with that is to go, yeah, no, I don't want that anymore. Thank you. Yes, I want more of this.
So more you
How
get
do I
rid
how
of,
do I get less of this and more of this?
well, more you get rid of your fears, more you will start believing and trusting yourself, because the strength is within you, not in everything else,
Yeah.
not outside of anything else. And
Yeah.
the more you rely and trust yourself, the the less you will be worried about it.
Hmm.
So you know how people worry, oh, how this gonna happen, how that gonna happen. They just jumping ahead where the situation may never happen. But
Yes.
I I early in the age realized that I should, and I really love that book. All of you probably read Gone with the Wind
Mm-hmm.
about Scarlett O'Hara. She used to
Yeah.
have this amazing saying, I'll think about it tomorrow. So whenever problem arises to her, and she knew she doesn't need to do anything about it now, but it's something that she needs to kind of fix or come up with solution in the future, she'll always put it aside. I'll think about it tomorrow. Sometimes tomorrow never comes, and most of the time it doesn't, because circumstances change. What's today looks crazy, and like remember we had the elections. Everyone was going nuts, nuts, crazy until the we got all the results, and we kind of learned to live with the reality.
Yes.
So whenever
Yeah.
it comes, we'll deal with it then, right? That
Well, and
mindset
because
helps a lot.
yeah, and a lot of people who I talk to, just friends and people around my community, were convinced that it was going to be World War III. That Trump and Putin, or the Chinese, or or wait until Taiwan happens, and then it's. And
or
I
India
guess,
and
or in,
Pakistan
yeah, yeah,
this week.
just recently, yeah. Um,
Oh, that's something
and
I missed.
and the thing that you, you know, you really have to step back and say, well, yeah, you're putting the cart ahead of the horse here. I mean, let's wait and see. And you know, inevitably, all that went away because you know nobody, even as crazy as you think they might be, nobody wants World War III because then you know they're out of power, and you know,
Right.
so
Oh,
it is one of those things about. But your point about trust and trusting that things will work out is a good one because I mean for a lot of my life there was no trust. I mean I you know I was great at what I did at work, you know, and I've never been fired from a job. Yet I would think I would go in there and I would be worried about being fired, or I would be, you know, what happens if I lose this job?
it's also the wiring. It's the once the brain has this pattern,
Yeah.
it goes back and feeds it. So when you, that's the whole idea of observance, right? When you recognize it's a pattern,
Yes.
you consciously start to change it.
Yeah.
And once you're okay, maybe it won't happen right away, maybe it'll take a year or two or three, but at least you're doing something towards changing it,
Yes.
towards relaxing the control and feeding into those that wiring that you have. And
Yes.
that's majority of people are that. They're not as bad as they feel. They're not doing as bad as they feel they're doing bad,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Like if you look like you're alive, you're healthy, your kids are fine, they go to school, you have a house, this whole frigidity energy around you is not necessary really.
Yeah.
So